Yeah. Yeah. Oh, so how's it going with you? Uh, I got off of work early this morning, drove home, went to sleep, and then got up, went and hung out with some of my coworkers, and then I came home and went back to sleep because I went to bed at like 4:50. 4:50 in the morning, which is mm, not easy.
Not at all.
Mm,
So, sorry, I'm just fixing some. Uh,
well, we got a little bit of time. We don't go live till 6:30, so you got a little bit of you got a little bit of time to get yourself situated.
all right, let's get started. Um, so, welcome, welcome everybody out there in YouTube land. This is Project Console, episode 69. A nice day. Um, like to introduce my panelists. Yeah, glad to have you. So for our first topic, so apparently the Nintendo eShop is for the 3DS and the Wii U is going down next week. So this is the last week. If there was something on either of those eShops that you haven't gotten yet, now's the time to get it, or else for yeah, exactly. So the completionist bought everything on the Wii U and the 3DS eShop. Actually, this is a stunt. Um, so turns out altogether everything cost around $23,000. Um, if you were to buy everything at once. So that was a that was kind of a weird story. I thought I'd found kind of funny, but yeah, this is it also brings up the discussion problem with digital services and the fact that you know all those games that they were selling are gonna go away forever. I mean, a lot of those games exist in physical forms, but there are many that do not. So yeah, that too. There's other platforms you can purchase those games as well. So how do you feel about it, Mr. Red Fox? These yeah, 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 yeah. I mean, yeah, that's the problem. That is the problem with Nintendo. It's a problem with a lot of these companies, but focusing on the Nintendo, yeah, they've been slipping on when it comes to monetization, or not monetization, but preservation of these games. Yeah, yeah, exactly.
And they're charging people a ridiculously high amount of money to access a a lineup of games that is questionable at best.
Yeah,
$20 for NES, SNES, and $50 for Sega Genesis and N64. And I'm like, your lineup of N64 games is, I mean, like what, two Mario parties?
yeah,
I'm like, why not five?
yeah,
I'm like, why are you so tentative in supporting your own fucking online service? That's my problem.
yeah, yeah. I I don't get it either. I think it's just simply they just want to maximize profits. They're just looking to maximize profits and all that other jazz.
Look, listen, okay, as a business owner, I like making money. We all, if you're a business owner, or even if you just work, making money is great. When you get your paycheck, it's a wonderful thing. But you have to create product that people want as well. You not just, oh, I made money. Okay,
Yeah,
and
yeah. I mean, it's too bad that they just couldn't relicense the eShop for every console that. I mean, they did it for they went from the Wii to the Wii U,
they did that.
and
They brought over the virtual console.
they brought over the virtual console. You pay a small fee for the Wii U version.
You could transfer it. You could transfer it over. You could
Yeah,
transfer all your shit over. I'm like, okay, that's how it's done. I don't mind. Like if they said, hey, you want to bring over the games that you bought digitally on this platform, that'll be X amount of dollars. People
yeah,
would have accepted it. Why is this so difficult?
yeah. I don't
Like, they're
know.
constantly making shit harder than it needs to be.
They're pretty much like, well, Sony and Microsoft. They just recharge everybody for the same
Ah,
price.
see, now we gotta, if we're going about what about isms, then we have to look at the go into the thing. Microsoft has now become the kings of backwards compatibility because with Microsoft, if you have your Xbox 360 discs, Xbox One discs, and plug that shit into your put that disc into your Xbox whatever, guess what? You can play your old game. Yes, it's
Yeah,
emulating
that's
them,
true.
but a lot of those games you can play.
Yeah,
Can't
yeah,
do
you're
that
right.
shit with I mean, look, listen. You know, Nintendo used to be at the forefront of game preservation and you being able to play old games on your new hardware. And then uh the Wii U failed and they went to the Switch and they're like, we're getting rid of Nintendo we're getting rid of Miiverse and our Nintendo Online, all that shit. We're gonna have something new. And what they got new is trash, and they're charging you for it. How the fuck are you gonna charge me for something that is less quality than what we had before when it was
I
free?
mean, we can go all the way back to the DS, which was you could play your GBA games, your Game Boy Color games, your Game Boy
OG Game
games,
Boy games.
and
Yeah,
the DS
it's
games. So you had a
yeah.
plethora of stuff that you could play on the DS.
I'm gonna tell you right now. For people who want to get into handheld gaming and they don't want to spend an arm and a leg on the retro pocket and all that other shit, get yourself a DS.
Cause yeah,
Old
get a D.
school Gen 1 DS, you will be able to play all of the Game Boy Advance, Game Boy Color, old school Game Boy games. Or you can get an EverDrive for the Game Boy and just play all that shit off of a SD card
Yeah, yeah.
plugged into there.
That
Boom.
was yeah. I would even go as far as to say is get a DS Lite, brighter screen.
Yeah,
Um,
The DS Lite, they took out that level of backwards compatibility. So
shoot.
you got to get old school DS. But you shouldn't be playing that shit in the dark anyway. It's bad for your eyes. I say this as someone who has really bad eyesight.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I mean, like people get on my nerves. Oh, this was a problem. It's like, shut the fuck up. You don't know what you're
Yeah, I
talking about.
mean Nintendo. They were the kings of backwards compatibility for a while. Mainly when it came to their handhelds, and
Yeah.
even when we talk about the virtual console for the Wii and the Wii U, they carried that over. Then you had Sony that also did a relatively decent job until the PlayStation 4, or until they axed the
It was the
decide.
PS3.
No, it was the PS3. They decided to essentially disable the emotion chip in the PS3 and just sell people PS2 game back to them.
Yeah, they
um,
stripped it out because they were like, why should we actually have backwards compatibility when we can charge you an arm and a leg for these old ass games that we will not spend any time or energy actually updating? We're just gonna fucking put the shit out there.
I mean, the PS3, at least for a little bit, you could have played all of PlayStation's history plus the minimum amount of PS3 games that were out at the time. And they
Yeah.
were like, "Nah, we're getting rid of that. We're just." There's actually a way if you got to hard mod your PS3 to actually play PS2 games on your PS3, but you shouldn't have to do that.
That's true.
Um,
But, you know,
See, yeah, that so Microsoft, at least for the time being, has become the new kings of backwards compatibility when it comes to their platform. Because yeah, you can play old 360 games, and I think there's a few old Xbox games and Xbox One games that you can just put in the console and
it just
then you're
works.
good. Yeah, it just works.
Mm.
Uh, yeah, and hopefully they probably won't, but hopefully, another thing about the online their online system, I like it. It's cool that you can pay a subscription fee to play an a la carte of games, but why can't you have the option to just pay for the games that you want and keep it?
You want
Like,
to know why?
yeah,
Because then they can't keep on charging you a nickel and diming you for their shitty subscription service. That's
that's
why.
true.
You see, you gotta pay for that shitty ass subscription service. And yes, I am saying that Nintendo's online is shit because it is. It's not very good.
Yeah.
And if I hear anyone say, "Oh no, it's not that bad," come on, man, come on. We all know Nintendo's online service is buttered ass.
Yeah, yeah. It's definitely not what it could be, and
It's not what it
everybody
used to
yeah, not what it used to be. Everybody was back in the day. It was like, no, Nintendo's never gonna do that. They'll never be like that.
I was like, anything's possible. I mean, I would hope they wouldn't do that, but you know, you can't have everything.
But in any case, we'll head on to our next topic, which is possible F Zero remake being done by the people who did Luigi's Mansion 3. Um,
I didn't really like Luigi's Mansion 3, but the
what?
fact that they're doing something with it, I'm happy about. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah. Um,
You know,
so hopefully they do a decent job. Uh, Hopefully they add online gameplay for people who really want that. Uh,
mm, I mean, online gameplay is cool with the with that game, but really, I think F Zero. You just need to have really good track design, banging ass music, um, and they need to move the needle forward in what you can do in an F Zero game. It can't just be more of what they've been doing. You know what I mean?
yeah, yeah. It's definitely got to be something else. What would you want from a remaster of F
You mean a
Zero?
remake?
A remake?
Uh, uh, I mean, if I saw a remake of F Zero, if I had my druthers, all right, here's what I would do. This is what I
Yeah,
would do if I like unlimited budget, whatever the fuck you want. Okay, what I would do is, if I was in charge of the design team, I would say, look, F Zero has always had a banging ass. Like the difficulty curve in F Zero is a little bit too much for a Joe Blow average consumer. So what I would
yeah,
do is I would say, okay, look, we're gonna have like traditional the different cups, the pawn cup, the knight cup, the king cup, the queen cup, all that stuff. We're gonna have that for people who like traditional F Zero. We're also gonna have an adventure mode where you choose a racer, like one of like five, maybe six racers, and you go through their little storyline or whatever. We're gonna have a free roam mode where you play as a version of Captain Falcon hunting down bounties, and the bounties are gonna be in the form of like uh we're gonna add something where you're like, okay, like you're hunting down a bounty, you got to find someone, you find them, and then you got to chase them down in an F Zero style race. but we're gonna add a form of attack in F-Zero. You can boost and crash into motherfuckers and knock them off the thing. You do that, you capture their bounty. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. That's a mechanic just for that mode. You get money, you use that to upgrade your vehicle. Now, this mechanic also becomes a thing in the adventure mode and the normal mode, because in the normal mode, you get money from winning in races, you take that, you upgrade your vehicle. Okay? You can get parts. You can have illegal races where there might be certain conditions like, hey, crash X amount of drone racers off of the track or whatever, or make these many jumps or whatever. And doing that earns you extra money, which you can then get, or special parts that you could put into your F-Zero machine. And you do all that, do stuff like that. I would also do another addendum. I would not let level 5 or whatever the name, the people who did Luigi's Mansion do it, because I don't trust them with F-Zero. The best F-Zero game of all time was F-Zero GX, and it was made by Sega.
It'd be nice if they could team up with Sega again and make it.
All right, I don't. It's like there's certain companies I don't trust with certain games. I don't trust the company Mercury Steam, because they fucked up Castlevania, and I wasn't too crazy about that Metroid Dread either. So, or their Samus Returns remake. So, like, I don't like that studio. I don't think they're very up to stuff. I don't think their quality is very good. So, you know what? You know, that's just how I feel. Okay, but that's what I would do. I would basically keep the stuff that people like. I would have a known studio that we know have done it before and done it well. The difficulty curve was a little too high, but F-Zero's always been hard. Like, even on the SNES. Yeah, the first two tracks are, oh yeah, it's not that bad. After that, shit.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, that's what I would do. F-Zero, made by Sega, maybe have someone who gives a fuck about the franchise, like, overseeing that team doing it. And it would be, call it F-Zero. Let's see, we've got F-Zero X, which was on the N64. Then we'd had F-Zero GX and AX. GX was the GameCube, AX was the arcade machine. Since we haven't had F-Zero for a long time, call it F-Zero Regenesis.
Yeah.
There you go. And
Um.
and let's see, is there anything else that I'm missing? Oh yeah, have the banging. It needs to have banging ass music, and you need to have a sense of speed, because no other no other Nintendo racing game has a sense of speed.
Yeah.
No fucking sense of speed. Mario Kart is a joke. Even
Yeah.
400cc is a joke. So F-Zero's always been about speed, and I don't think they can. See, the thing is, I don't think they can pull it off, because they just don't have they just don't have the talent these days for certain
They
stuff.
just don't have what it takes anymore.
Like, Mario Odyssey was just kind of like underwhelming to me.
Yeah, it's pretty
Yes,
good for that. I mean, yeah. I mean, yeah. I agree with you. I mean, it's pretty decent for that team's first Mario game. 'Cause I think
you
they had a
play
lot
that
of new
game
people.
once and you're just like, oh, okay, I'm good. I don't need to play this again.
I mean, it. I mean, I guess a lot of the people that were working on it were kind of up and comers, but yeah, it is somewhat forgettable. It is a little too. Problem with that game is a little too forgiving too. You can just buy your way out of a problem.
What, Mario Odyssey?
Yeah,
For me, I just found once you play through Mario Odyssey, there's absolutely nothing memorable about it. There's no reason to go back. Once you find all the coins, once you buy all the outfits, the only interesting thing about that game is that there's certain set pieces that you remember, but the rest of it just kind of blurs together.
yeah,
Like going to New Donk City. The first time you go to New Donk City, you have to and you take over one of those fucking tanks, and you blow you shoot the shit out of everything that's taken over the city. I'm like, this is cool. You never do that again. You can't even
yeah,
replay that fucking level.
yeah. Yeah, that
like
was a cool
Mario
sequence.
Odyssey is a series of really good ideas that are a lot of them are one and done. Or when you go to the desert and you have to go to that hidden area where you like wind up fighting that gauntlet of like really like stacks of enemies and thwomps and shit. I'm like, oh, this is cool. But once you do it, it's like you never have a reason to go back. That's the problem with Mario Odyssey. There's no level of like, let's go and do this again. Let's try it because you're always playing as Mario. There's no other playable characters. Um, the levels are so fucking open that like you have an optimal way to get a power moon, and then you have a suboptimal way to get it. And most of the time, the optimal way is just use Cappy to take over a certain enemy and just go get it rather than awesome platforming. It suffers from the Mario Sunshine problem.
Pretty much reliance on Cappy because he can just not only can you not only get can you just take Cappy and just you know possess an enemy, you can also just use those hat tricks to just cheese your way to a particular place.
I mean, that's a part of it, but you have to have a certain skill level in order to use Cappy. Like literally, like if you played Mario Odyssey for the first time and you didn't feel like doing any of the interesting exploits with Cappy, all you really had to do was find the enemy that you could take over that gave you the right ability to get what you needed, and that was it.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
like, okay, there's no real like if you played 3D World, different characters had different abilities, and there were some areas where it's like, oh, it's better for me to have this character and this ability. Oh man, I lost my cat ability. I can't get this, so that means I'm gonna have to go restart the level and start like in order to get to this area. There was actual strategy involved in 3D World. Very little strategy in Odyssey. Odyssey, like I said, is a series of set pieces and really cool ideas that are very disjointed. And once you beat the game, it's like,
yeah.
oh
3D
well.
World is probably uh
It's the superior game.
yeah, yeah.
People gonna get mad when they hear that. Oh, just being a fanboy. Fuck off.
As being a fanboy, I'd say the
Because it's a good
Odyssey is
game.
fine. Yeah.
Really, I'm a fanboy because it's a good game. Okay, all right, sure,
Yeah.
yeah. Why not? How dare I like a good game? Yeah, but then again,
Yeah.
I'm a fan. I'm Galaxy 1 and 2 are like my favorite games of all time. So you know,
Those games are pretty good. Too bad they didn't include it in the 3D world and the 3D All
yeah, we
Stars.
only got Odyssey. I mean, we only got Galaxy 1, and I'm like, Galaxy 1 is good, but 2 on a technical level is a better game.
Yeah.
Like a lot of the bullshit that's in 1, like if you like, I was talking with someone that I work with, and I was like, well, Galaxy 1 has. He's like, well, I like the story of Galaxy 1. I'm like, but who the fuck's playing Mario for the story though? That's like someone saying, hey man, I'm watching porn. I'm I like the story. I want to know, is she ever going to get her pizza? No one gives a no one's watching this for that.
No.
This doesn't matter. What is wrong with you?
Yeah. Yeah.
That's where I got to
Anyway.
be like, what is going on here? What is wrong with you? That's where I'm like, okay, clearly there's something going on here. Because anyway, yeah, Nintendo's just the Switch has been a very disappointing console gen for me with Nintendo.
Yeah, I can definitely see why. I definitely see how it could be a disappointment.
People gonna get mad at me and they're gonna be like, "Oh, you're not a Nintendo fan." No, but that's the thing. I'm one of the biggest fucking Nintendo fans you'll ever meet. I have all their retro consoles. I've rebought multiple Nintendo games that Nintendo hasn't seen fit to re-release because I like those games. I'm gonna dig out my Switch when they re-release Baten Kaitos because I fucking love that game.
Yeah.
But the Switch has just been a very disappointing console gen for me.
Yeah.
I know some people are gonna be like, "Oh, don't say that. Oh, how could you say that? You're just being contrarian." Nah, okay, whatever.
Anyway, so Persona 5 is getting a mobile port called
Yeah,
uh, Persona 5 Phantom X. It's only coming to China, and it's a
yeah,
gacha game. And I have no idea why this thing exists.
because mobile people will buy anything because they like mobile shit.
Yeah. Like, you really think, you really think somebody, um, you really think people who play Candy Crush is going to be interested in Persona 5?
No, people in
Like,
China will because they like mobile games in China.
that's a good point. They don't really have,
That's why it's coming out in China. You know, I mean, it's clear what's going on here. I don't know why people are acting like, oh, it was never for you. They announced it because they announced it, but it was for China. I mean, I'm not. Look, listen. Okay, I'm not against people enjoying their damn games. Whatever game it is, I'm not against people enjoying it. What I will say is, um, what people need to realize is that all these companies are trying to make money. All right, and they want to put the least amount of effort into making that money. All of them are doing this. Nintendo, Sony, Microsoft. It doesn't matter. Sega. Okay. The least effort they can put into making it, the happier they are. All right.
yeah, yeah,
Y'all need to understand that shit. People have this because I grew up with this, and therefore it's something that I like. It's like, no, it doesn't work that way. All right. It's never been that way. And if anyone tells you that, they're full of shit. Um, but it is what it is. I hate saying that, but it truly is what it is.
yeah.
But how's it going with you? What do you think about it? You care? Like,
Wow.
I was like, oh, okay, so they're making a mobile only spinoff and it's in China. Okay, clearly they're trying to get that China money.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't. I don't get it. I don't get it either. Uh, yeah, I think it is. Them just trying to get China money. Um, maybe I don't exactly know why.
Because
They just
China
don't
has a
want
huge
to.
population of people.
No, I don't know why they just don't make a Persona 5 mobile version
Enough?
and just charge like. I guess you can't charge $60 for a mobile game, can you? Or
No, but Square Enix would try. Knowing Square Enix is bullshit, they would definitely try to do that because it's Square Enix.
yeah. That's the thing about mobile games. Is like if you even charge a buck, you're probably gonna have a hard time getting
I
your
mean, that's not
mobile
entirely
game to
true.
say.
Square Enix made a lot of money selling premium versions of like Final Fantasy and shit. So you can make money off of it. It's just like, you know, it's just going to be different. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah, but
People need to
eh,
understand that, you know?
yeah,
And Nintendo made money with that Mario Run game.
yeah, that's true. That is true. It was relatively
So,
successful, wasn't it?
yeah. I mean, you can make money on the mobile space. It's just thing is, people don't want to. People want to feel like they're getting value and not getting screwed.
Yeah.
Sorry, allergies. So
Yeah, I think, and they said it's gonna release on PC at some point.
uh,
This may or may not come to the states. I guess your Persona fanboys are gonna want everything Persona, so they'll
I
probably
mean,
they'll probably get it and struggle through the Mandarin or whatever Chinese dialect that this game is gonna be in.
it'll probably be
And
translated, and it probably with GPT able to do translation really quickly. I guarantee you'll start seeing shit getting translated that you never thought you would have seen getting translated.
yeah, and yeah, and it'll probably get dumped somewhere just so people can check it out. Uh, in any case, Sony NFT patent was discovered, which had people worried, thinking that they were going to plan something with the patent. But
If you
you know,
don't think Sony isn't working on NFTs, I don't know what to tell anybody.
I mean, people there's speculation that the stars thing that they were doing could have been NFTs, but they backtracked on it. But they'll probably release something with NFTs at some point.
Here's what
Uh,
I'm going to say. Okay, if you don't think that Sony right now, as we speak, isn't working on some NFT bullshit, I don't know what to tell you because they are. They is, as they say.
yeah.
You want to know how I know? Because Sony likes money.
Oh yeah.
They all like money. They all want to make money. And NFTs are a way to make money with lowered risk.
Yeah.
And businesses are all about making money with lowered risk. They love making money. Oh, I can spend less money and make more money? Sure, why not?
Yeah.
Why would I why would I mess that up? What's wrong with you?
Yeah. Exactly.
Excuse me. The thing that gets me is that people are way too like people get caught up in their fandom, and they don't understand that these companies aren't. This isn't about love. This is about money.
Yep.
Okay, these companies don't give a fuck about you personally, but they do like getting paid. So you know,
Yeah.
money
Yeah.
means something to
Exactly.
them.
Yep.
You know, like if like let me put it this way: if Nintendo or Sony or Microsoft, if like you want to know why Microsoft has been doing so much good shit during the this generation, because the last gen they fucked up really badly.
Yeah. Yeah. They sure did.
Okay, and the generation before that, and the generation before that. Sony has always been arrogant. Even now, they're arrogant.
Yeah.
You know, and typically Sony comes in an arrogance boom, and then they fall on their ass, and then they act right for a few years, and then they get arrogant again with the next console gen. I guarantee right now, Sony's next console is going to come out, and they're going to be arrogant as fuck. And then they're going to get smacked on the ass and be like, "Oh wait, maybe we should do better."
Yeah.
Because that's how Sony rolls. They're a very arrogant company.
Yeah,
Very
typically.
arrogant.
Yeah, they are typically, unfortunately.
And they don't figure out until after the fact, "Oh, maybe we shouldn't have done that." It's like, "Ah, well, it's too late now." Shit.
Yeah, it's far too late.
But anyway.
So, Sony is speaking of staying, well, staying on Sony. Sony is thinking about making a Superman game. Apparently, there was speculation because of some information that got out for the whole "we gotta stop Microsoft from buying Activision Blizzard" campaign that Sony's been on for the past few months.
Yeah.
Uh, uh, Sony made a reference to Superman, so people are speculating that Sony's making a Superman, could possibly be making a Superman game. Um, Hopefully somebody can make it do it
Come out of
right.
it. Sure.
Yeah,
I
they
haven't I haven't played a good Superman game since I was a little kid, and it was the arcade game made by Sunsoft called Superman, and it was actually pretty fun. It was like 4 or 5 stages, and some stages would have Superman flying around. Other stages would be like a shooter where he shot his laser vision and beating up people. It was actually pretty good. I've no other Superman game have I played has been good.
yeah.
On the NES, the SNES, uh, the Death and Return of Superman, the infamous N64 Superman,
Oh yeah, yeah,
the Superman game that was based on the Bryan Singer Superman Returns.
yeah.
Uh, like there hasn't been a good Superman game, and the thing is, you could do a good Superman, but you'd have to depower Superman, and you'd have to
And
make him like he was back in the day, where he could just run really fast, leap tall buildings with a single bound, more powerful than a locomotive, all that type of shit. You'd have to depower him back to like his old school pre Silver Age Superman, and most people ain't gonna do that. Because when you think Superman, you're like, oh man, it's dun 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 dun, oh shit, you fucked up now. Not don't think Henry Cavill Superman, because that version of Superman was trash.
I mean, the thing is, you would what you would do is you would make him younger. You'd make him a kid, or, and then over time, as you progress, he'd learn, because you would have, you even write a story about it. He's learning what it means to be Superman, ultimately.
So let me get this straight. You want to basically turn this into Superboy.
Kind of,
You want to turn
you
it into
could.
basically kind of like they did with Spider-Man.
Yeah, and they could, do like a trilogy or do like a series where over
Mm-hmm.
time he gets older and he learns what it means to be Superman. And
Uh,
you don't like that?
no.
No.
No. Because let me put on my nerd glasses. As you see, actually, Superman, uh, Superman when he's 18 leaves the Kent family household, and he creates the Fortress of Solitude. His college is basically him getting all the knowledge that his father could cram into the Kryptonian uh, uh, data crystals in the Fortress of Solitude. So he's actually like, even though like people like to play Superman as being really fucking stupid, he's actually really intelligent.
Yeah.
Um, and so he basically when he comes back and he like gets a job for the Daily Planet and all that shit, like him like, oh well, I got to learn how to be that Superman doesn't have that. That's not congruent with the character. Um, Now, what like I said, if you want to be true and not piss off the comic book nerds, I'll try not to be one of them. Is if they go way back, depower down Superman to um to pre um his
Before.
pre Silver Age, where he was kind of like a dick, But he didn't have all these powers. He could jump really high. Like he had super speed. He could jump really high. He couldn't fly. All that type of shit. And then over time, say this is an alternate reality version of Superman who, like, basically he never did the Fortress of Solitude. He never learned how to use his powers from the Kryptonian thing. So from the Kryptonian archive, his father was able to cram into the Fortress of Solitude Kryptonian data crystals. So essentially speaking, this Superman has to go and find those data crystals. And as he finds those data crystals, he gets more powerful. He gains these abilities because he's learning about them. You could do that.
Yeah, that
But
could
you'd
make
have to
sense.
establish this is an alternate reality version of Superman. This is not mainline, John Williams score in the background Superman. This is not that Superman.
Yeah.
This is an alternate, like they did Justice League Dark. Not Justice League Dark. They did alternate Justice League. Bruce Timm did, where he did like an alternate reality version of the Justice League, where Batman was a vampire, and Superman in the alternate universe was the twist in that universe is that Zod managed to stop his version of Jor-El before he was able to do what he was going to do, which he was basically trying to get Kryptonian DNA to send to someplace else. And so he replaced Jor-El's DNA with his own. So this version of Superman lands amongst Mexican migrants, and he's kind of a dick. He's actually a piece of shit. I'm like, why did you guys bring that back and have that version of Superman meet our version of Superman? Because that would have been a really interesting dichotomy of, like, you know, aw shucks, Smallville, Kansas, Clark Kent versus that version of Superman. I'm like, that would have been a really interesting dichotomy. Batman actually fighting a version of himself. Obviously they start out fighting, and then by the end they have to team up in order to take on a greater threat, because that happens all the time in comic book crossovers. But yeah, you could do that, but like them trying to Spider-Man Superman doesn't work.
No.
Because Superman never had that, I'm selfish. Superman, like, the modern interpretation of Superman didn't have that, I got my Uncle Ben killed because I was a piece of shit. No. I gotta learn how to use my powers. Superman's always very careful with his powers. That's the point about Superman. That's why it means such a big deal when Superman finally says, you know what? Fuck it. Like Justice League Unlimited, where Superman has his world of paper speech, where he's like, you know what? He goes to Darkseid. He's like, you know what? Do you know how it feels to live in a world of paper? Everything you do, you have to be absolutely careful all the time. But you, you can take it. I can go all out against you. And you see Superman just say, fuck it, and go all out against Darkseid. And it's amazing. It means something, because Superman is always in control and with composure. He very rarely loses his shit, but when he does, it's like, you fucked up. So that, if Spider-Man was going to do a Superman game, they'd probably fuck it up because they try to do the Spider-Man treatment to it. And you can't, like, Superman is a fundamentally different character than Peter Parker. At least the modern interpretation of Peter Parker, of Spider-Man.
I guess you could have, if you were going to do the Superboy thing, you could have at least based it off the Young Justice Superboy, potentially.
I hate Young Justice. Because, first of all, that version of Superboy is essentially a clone of Lois Lane and Lex Luthor with Kryptonian DNA spliced into it to give him superpowers, which is just kind of fucking stupid to me.
Why is he a clone of Lex Luthor? Why wouldn't he be a clone of Lois Lane and Clark Kent?
Because Lex Luthor helped her create the clone. Because, Young Justice is supposed to be a continuation from the end of All-Star Superman, where Superman is dying and he sacrifices himself to fly into space to stop whatever his name is, the tyrant's son. And he does it, but Superman dies. So in that continuity, like, Lex Luthor is like, well, I can help you keep a part of him, and he gives her a kid. Using her DNA and his own DNA and some of Superman's Kryptonian DNA to give him superpowers, and that's Superboy. That's what Young Justice is supposed to be. But the problem is that they took a lot of liberties because Superboy initially is supposed to be young Superman learning how to use his powers, but the stories don't jibe with the reality of Superman, so it's its own little thing, and it's just. And then they did Young Justice, where they have a new version of Superboy that's actually like Young Justice is weird because you have Superman and then you have Superboy, but they're not the same person. It's fucking weird, man. It's like
Also,
I don't like this.
also, also the problem with Young Justice as well is it wasn't like you had because it was on Cartoon Network for a little bit and then they canceled it because of Toy Line and probably some other stuff. Probably some other complicated
Shenanigans
legal
going on in the
things.
background.
What?
There were probably some shenanigans going on in the background.
Yeah, shenanigans that were probably going on in the background that people weren't allowed to talk about. But and then it went to HBO Max, and then it kind of changed tone a little bit because obviously they were allowed to
They could
do a
get
little bit
darker.
more. Yeah,
I
so
mean, but Young Justice was already kind of dark. It was
yeah,
never like not like the original Teen Titans got really fucking dark.
yeah,
Like
yeah.
X-Men got really fucking dark. Like this shit where people don't want to make shit dark. I don't understand it.
I I don't know. Again, Teen Titans held my attention more so than I would say
Young Justice.
Young Justice, but
Yeah.
I mean, it definitely, that pilot episode, the first episode was when they first discover Superboy.
Yeah.
Oh, that was pretty interesting.
I mean, yeah, but I mean that's the thing where I'm like, okay, like I'm trying to jibe. Like, okay, if you're adapting, because for so long Justice League, for so long DC was really good at adapting the comics into the animated form, and then once they canceled Justice League Unlimited, they just kind of said fuck it, and they just we'll do whatever the fuck we want. And then you have Young Justice, where I'm like, okay, you have Superboy, but you're calling him Superboy, but he doesn't have Superboy's power set from the comics. And it turns out he's not Superboy from the comics. He's some character they created named Superboy. And I'm like, okay, I'll go with it. I'll go with it. And I'm like, okay, you got to explain this shit to me. It's like, well, he can't really fly, but sometimes he can, sometimes he can't. He doesn't have Superman's strength. I'm like, you're just kind of shitty Superman, really. Like, why the
What?
fuck would they call you when they got Superman? Like, that's the problem with Young Justice. It's like, yeah, Young Justice, they're so cool. I'm like, yeah, but why do we need you when we got the Teen Titans? I mean, like, y'all
Exactly.
are
It's
just
like
useless. Y'all are like the C team. If the A team is the Justice League, the B team is Teen Titans, the C team is Young Justice. It's like, why the fuck would we
yeah.
call you guys? You guys are useless. You guys are lower than the Suicide Squad.
Wow, wow. But yeah, I why they canceled Justice League Unlimited? Like that explains why it seems a bit shorter than the original Justice League. Did it end on a
Because Warner
cliffhanger?
Brothers animation is stupid. I mean, that's
It
the
just
only way I can really.
yeah. I don't know what it is with these big billion-dollar companies that just love leaving money on the table.
I mean, why didn't Warner Brothers like let me put it this way. Remember Animaniacs? Everyone's like, oh, Animaniacs is coming back, right? Animaniacs should have been like it was on Hulu. Hulu is distinctly not Warner Brothers, and yet Animaniacs was run by Warner Brothers for many years,
Yeah.
right? So why the fuck is Animaniacs not, on? It's weird, man. It's
Well, one of
fucking
the
weird.
thing one of the things that really pissed me off is why they canceled Teen Titans because it just ends on a cliffhanger.
Yeah,
Ends on a cliffhanger.
yeah.
So
Slade
okay.
comes back, and they're like, oh well, okay.
Slade
Slade came
comes
back.
back. Tara lost her memories for whatever reason. Don't exactly know
Well,
why.
that's a
She's
that's a
not her
typical
anymore.
trope that's used a lot in stuff. That's not really like, oh, we can't believe they did that. They do that in comics all the time.
I mean, I understand. I understand the amnesia trope is something that's just everywhere in nerd media, especially when you get an anime. But you know, I don't know. It's just she just I mean, I was just curious why she lost her memory. It's not the fact that she lost her memory. Uh,
It's called storytelling.
it's like it's just
It's
like
called because we wanted to. That's why.
yeah. So it's just
See, the thing is, you trying to make sense out of some shit that's not supposed to make sense.
yeah.
That's your problem. There's your
I guess
problem
so.
right there. Like,
I
oh,
guess
why did
so.
they do that? Cause reasons. Don't worry about it.
Yeah.
Because we had to tell a certain story, and we didn't have time to not tell that story. So don't worry about it.
This happens a lot too, where it's like half baked something because it's like, oh, we have we've made this character. We thought it was a really cool character, and then they're just like, and they just get sick of the character, like in Final Fantasy VII with Eris. Like, we kind of had this somewhat interesting storyline for this character, but you know what? We kind of really don't want her hanging around, so we're just gonna have to kill her off because we actually really don't know where to go with her with this. So
Yeah,
she's
but
just
they
gonna have
turned
to
her into
deal
a
with
useful plot device, though, because she's the first personal choice that what's his name ever made, and she that Cloud made that wasn't like impulse from the memories of Zack Fair, and her being murdered by Sephiroth is supposed to give you an impetus to kill that fucker, and
Yeah,
it does
yeah,
because she's like the best healer in the game.
yeah,
You're like,
yeah,
why'd you kill my healer, my best healer in this entire fucking game? You piece of shit. Right? Right? That's
yeah, yeah,
Why'd you do that? Why'd you kill my best healer in the goddamn game, you bastard? Right?
yeah, yeah. And so yeah, and then they just go off and ruin the whole thing in their Final Fantasy remake because they want to make some sort of weird, ass, bold statement. You know,
No,
completely.
they didn't want to
Let's
make a
destroy
straight up remake, which is what people wanted. They
a
wanted to do
remaster.
some their own shit with it. And I'm like, at this point, I just don't care anymore. I know, like, here's the thing. I'm not that invested with Final Fantasy these days. I'm like, it's okay. I'm not like in love with it. Um, I haven't given a fuck about Final Fantasy really since 6. 10 was okay. 7 and 8 can go fuck themselves as far as I'm concerned. I'm not into Final Fantasy 7, and I don't like 8. Like everything that I don't like about 7, 8 doubles down on.
10-2 was weird, but I kind of enjoyed it because I thought it had a decent battle system.
Mm,
It's, I just thought that it felt like a filler to an anime. That's what 10-2 felt like. It was like a filler to an anime.
I mean, if you can deal with filler, I don't like filler, so I was like, I don't like this shit at all. Um,
I only played it once and didn't play it again. Uh, yeah, that game was like whoever Sakaguchi's like I don't care anymore. I'm just
yeah, he's
gonna
like, they're firing me. They're firing me because they're saying that, um, like the reason Final Fantasy Spirits Within. Look, I make video games, not movies. Fuck you. So that was to me. That's like Hironobu Sakaguchi saying "fuck all y'all." That's his "fuck all y'all" game. So I can't really get mad at Hironobu Sakaguchi. I can't be like, oh, well, that feels like him saying, you know what, fuck all y'all. I'm done with you. To hell with all y'all.
Yeah, and I just thought some of the characterization, especially the characterization of Yuna, it's like this isn't Yuna. What the hell? What did you do to her?
Well,
This
the
isn't
thing,
how she is.
yeah, the problem with that game is that it basically just like, it just kind of sort of just like falls apart a little bit. And
Yeah.
all the character growth, it's kind of like with the reason why Tales of Symphonia 2 A New Dawn, people didn't like it because you had Lloyd Irving acting very uncharacteristic to how he was in the other game. And that's why when you do continuations, you can't have characters acting against what they used to be. It doesn't work, you know?
Yeah. Because at that point, you might as well just make a new character. It's like, well, what's the point of creating this character, or continuing this character's storyline? They're completely different. Like, it's not even so much the fact that it's the continuation of their growth from the last game. It's just like they're just a different person now. It's like, what did you do?
Yeah. Yeah, and that's one of the reasons why I don't like first of all, I don't like sequels to Final Fantasy. Each Final Fantasy is its own. Like Final Fantasy for the longest time has been, essentially speaking, there's a lot of central themes and tropes that are used continuously, but they're mixed matched. It's like Taco Bell's menu. Taco Bell's the same 5, 6 ingredients, but they're mixed in different ways to create new shit. That's Final
Yeah,
Fantasy. Okay?
yeah,
Final Fantasy is different. It's the same shit remixed multiple times to create different dishes. Dragon
yeah,
Quest is your diner where you know it's going to be what it's going to be, what it's going to be. It's never going to deviate, but it's always going to be of similar quality. And I'm okay with that. I'm a little worried that Dragon Quest 13 or 4, yeah, Dragon Quest 13 is the next one is supposed to be that we're doing all these changes. I'm like, I don't really I'm a little worried.
yeah, yeah. Um, that game was pretty easy too.
What,
I
Dragon
mean,
Quest 12?
no, Final Fantasy X too,
10
especially
to, oh yeah.
that
If you
game.
know how to use if you know what spheres to equip your characters with and what outfits to give them and shit like that, it's like,
You just get through the last boss. It's like the last boss was so underwhelming. It's like it just was nothing. I just remember it just being nothing. It was like, okay, yeah, well, that was the game, guys. That was the game.
yeah, but that game, Final Fantasy X-2, is mostly about the journey of getting Titus back.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
know, she's got to get Titus. For some reason, Titus got fat between him dying. I don't know how the fuck that happened, but I'm like, he wasn't eating. He was an imaginary person the entire time, but apparently he got fat while he was in imaginary land. I don't know how that works, but okay.
He was in. Yeah, he was. I guess he was.
He was
Maybe
chowing
10.
down in limbo. He's like,
Maybe, but
well, you're in limbo, so what am I gonna do until they bring me back? If they bring me back, well, we got craft services table over there. You want to get something to eat? Sure. No, no,
ten,
no, no.
and 10
10
was
2.
it. Yeah, 10 2, 10. The whole lore of 10 is kind of weird. It's like, what? There's a city, and then something happens, and then you end up going to this other world, and then you go on this journey, and then you turn out that Titus is just nothing more than a memory of that old city, of that old world, and then you're just a dream. And then I
Yeah.
guess once you kill Sin,
I mean, but
then the dream is
it makes sense if you
released.
think about it like this. Okay, Xanarkand was a city that was destroyed. As they were being destroyed, they were like, "We'll get our revenge. We'll create a memory of ourselves." So Titus is a figment of Xanarkand.
Yeah,
Once Sin is finally truly defeated, and they stop the cycle of rebirth and sacrifice, uh, then Xanarkand is fully avenged, and their memories go away and Titus disappears. The whole like the thing is that the whole irony, and this is why 10 does have some secret brilliance to it, is that the game fools you into thinking that Titus is the main character. It's not about Titus's journey. It's about Yuna's journey,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
Titus is the annoying, and Titus realizes it's not about me, it's about her. And Titus realizing that I got to stop being a selfish prick and help this girl. Titus grows up and he has a character arc.
yeah,
He becomes a better person. And Yuna realizes that I shouldn't just walk blindly into being a sacrifice. Like people, summoners, the grand summoners have been sacrificing themselves for years, and this has not solved the fucking problem. Maybe I
Yeah.
should ask some questions and try something different.
Yeah.
You know, and in Yuna basically going against her destiny and fighting against her fate, Titus has the opposite thing and resigns himself to the fact that he doesn't even really exist, and
Yeah.
yet he's glad that he was able to go on this journey. So it's actually Final Fantasy X. I mean, look, listen. The problem with 10 is that you have to dig through the fact that Titus is really fucking annoying in the beginning of the game. If you
Yeah.
can get through that, if you can grit your teeth and get through those first 10, 15 hours, there's a really good game in there.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
Hironobu Sakaguchi proves that he is the master of Final Fantasy.
Yeah.
And Yoshi P, who's taken over the reins, he's still like, let me put it this way. There's a reason that Hironobu Sakaguchi got 11 games out of that franchise
Yeah.
over his tenure. Whereas the people under him, I'm going to separate the MMOs because that's a completely different animal. We got 13, which originally was not a Final Fantasy game. 13, 2 and 3, which are not Final Fantasy games. You've got 12, which is a Ivalice game, so it's more within the Tactics series. Okay,
Yeah.
so we got 4 games bearing the Final Fantasy moniker, not Final Fantasy games. Okay, Final Fantasy 15. The development of that game was such a motherfucker that the guy who directed it left the games industry. He's like, look, he said, I'm out. And all of this DLC that was supposed to come, and expansion content that was supposed to come out for that game, never came out. And the studio they made one other game, which was Forspoken. That game did horrifically. The president of the company quit, and Luminous was folded back into Square Enix. That should tell you something. All right?
Square Enix is
And now
really.
Yoshi P, the guy in charge of who turned around Final Fantasy 14, he's fucking making Final Fantasy 16. And guess the fuck what? Okay, he's like, yeah, it's not gonna have all of the tropes that people old school liked about Final Fantasy, and JRPG is a dirty word. I'm like, no, it isn't. You just don't like. Either you were told that the game had to have mass market appeal, which means you're going to go with a single player game with Final Fantasy tropes and beat 'em ups, which I'm like, you should just call this a spinoff. Hell,
Yeah.
make it a
It should
spinoff of
just.
Final Fantasy Mystic Quest. That would make a lot of sense because in that game you only had one playable character and occasionally a guest character. It would make sense for you to do that, but shit doesn't make sense. Square Enix is weird.
Yeah. Square Enix. Square Enix is a weird company. It seems like their smaller projects, like their Bravely Defaults and their
Octopath
Octopath
Traveler,
Travelers, are more interesting than their big
big
giant
budget
big.
AAA shit.
Yeah. I mean, my opinion is that I think they should just scale back and think about what made Square Enix and why people like them so much and why people are weary of them these days.
Literally, their games are too big.
Yeah.
That's the problem. Their games are too goddamn big. Because here's the thing. Bravely Default had a smaller budget, so if it didn't do well, no one was going to lose their job if it flopped.
Yeah.
Forspoken had to be restarted like twice, so it was way over budget, and it did horrifically. All right, and I have that game, and I enjoy it, but clearly, I'm in the minority. I can accept
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
And a lot of their games are like that. Final Fantasy 15 barely broke even. Final Fantasy 14 almost tanked the entire series. Final Fantasy 13, I think, like they had to do a lot of shit to creative accounting to say that game made money.
Yeah. And Forspoken is based off of that. I think it's pronounced Agnes philosophy demo that was showed 10 years ago. So it's based off that tech demo.
Yeah, and
On
I've seen the tech demo. It looks very interesting, but to build a game around a tech demo for the Luminous engine is not very smart.
probably not a good idea. But
But this is
yeah,
Square Enix, so that's par for the course for them.
yeah, Square Enix just I don't know. I mean, they're too big to fail at this point. What I mean by that is they're not going anywhere anytime soon.
You know,
So we'll probably just keep making the same mistakes over and over again.
I mean, well, the new president is worse than the old president because I think the old president was kind of like I think he was purposely kind of slow walking NFTs. He was talking to the board, yeah, NFTs are the future, but you notice like most of the Square Enix NFT shit was kind of like low key. This new guy is all in on NFTs, even though we're seeing NFTs crash and burn around us. So I'm like, why the fuck are you trying to push through something that you know people don't want?
Like, how would you even get NFTs to work? Because it's like, how would you, um,
You know what they're gonna do,
how would
right?
you copy and paste the image, for example, or
No, man. Here's what they're gonna do. They're gonna take their IP. They're gonna make little variations, put them through an NFT mill, and be like, look, you can get purple chroma Una, and she's different than purple Luma, purple Azure Una because this one has a slight purple tint to it, and that one is Azure, and it's got this number to it, so that's its NFT number, and it's worth 15 Square Enix credits, and you can trade these in, and it's gonna bomb. It's gonna crash spectacularly. It's gonna. Oh man, this is gonna die. This is gonna die. Look, Ubisoft tried NFTs, crashed and burned. Um, EA tried NFTs, crashed and burned. It's like no one seems to realize no gamer wants NFTs, and casual people aren't going to buy them. But let the new guy come in and try and get the shit. And when the shit falls on its face, I'll be sitting there laughing. I'll be sitting there laughing and talking shit. Be
yeah,
like,
yeah,
told you so.
exactly.
Fucked up. You fucked up, Logan.
Yeah,
Because the new CEO, he's like, yeah, he's a numbers and accounting guy. I'm like, oh god, this is we're fucked. Because Nintendo is run by the numbers guy, and he is just, ooh boy, he's fucking up left, right, and center.
yeah, yeah. That he is, unfortunately.
You know.
Anyway, any free topics before we close out the show?
um, let's see. Sony needs to stop whining about Microsoft buying. They need to stop whining about Sony buying
Or
that shit.
Microsoft? Yeah,
Yeah, because they're
I
gonna.
think, because a lot of the people that were for Sony are kind of starting to back out and being like, ah, you guys are not making as much sense as you guys aren't making much sense anymore. So, yeah, so it seems like it's going back more and more into Microsoft's favor.
I mean, it's not just that; it's just annoying. It's
Yeah,
like
yeah, that
they're
too.
like, "Oh my god, if this happens," it's like, look, shit can't stay the same. They're like, well, if they, I mean, see what they did with what's it called? What was the name of it? See what they did with what was it called? Uh, Starfield. I'm like, but they own Bethesda. Like, why the fuck would you put something that you own? Next, you're gonna say, hey man, Nintendo has the rights to to Mario. It should be on our platform. It's like, what the fuck is wrong with you?
Yeah.
Like at a certain point, it's like it's just sad. You know what I mean? It's like either compete or don't compete, but stop whining.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. I mean, thought you were just gonna get that Call of Duty money forever. Yeah, again, I don't think Call of Duty is gonna be exclusive. I think they're gonna do the whole Mojang thing and basically just keeping on everything that they can, like they did with Minecraft. Uh, I mean, at some point, maybe they'll make their own version of Call of Duty that's just exclusive to them. But it's like at some point, it's like you guys didn't think about creating some kind of multiplayer game that could compete on the same level. Maybe.
They did. You don't remember Starhawk?
Yeah, I remember Starhawk. I I remember it. That was an interesting year for Sony because they came out with a lot of exclusive. Like Starhawk was one of them,
Yeah, but
and
no. Starhawk was the second game in the series. It used to be called like Warhawks. They
yeah,
look. Listen, Sony has tried to go up against the Juggernaut. You know,
yeah,
and they can't do it. Like, remember when they tried to take out Halo?
yeah, yeah. I remember the whole. What was it? Killzone 2.
Killzone was supposed to take on Halo, and Killzone fell flat on its face.
Yeah, it's like
Even though
Killzone
Halo is trash now, if Sony put out a Killzone, it still wouldn't do as well as Halo.
Pro. Yeah,
All right, like thing is, here's what people need to understand: Sony doesn't have a lot of money.
that's
Microsoft has a fuck ton of money.
yeah,
After they finish, if this deal goes through and they spend 63 billion dollars for Activision Blizzard, they will still be sitting on like 60, 70 billion dollars just in there, just hovering around in a war chest that Microsoft has access to. Sony, like, remember, Sony, like Microsoft said, yeah, we're buying ZeniMax, which includes Bethesda and all the other shit they have. Sony's answer to that, we're gonna buy Bungie. It's like, yeah, no one gives a shit about Bungie these days.
yeah, yeah,
We're gonna no, it was like we're gonna buy Naughty Dog. It's like, no one cares. No, it was Insomniac. We're gonna buy Insomniac for like 200 million. Which look, $200 million is more than I will ever see in my lifetime, probably, unless my fortunes drastically change. But compared to companies that operate in the billions, that ain't shit.
yeah. And Insomniac is they've been cozy with Insomniac for a while, so I mean it makes sense.
You could argue and say Insomniac hasn't made a good game in years, except for a lot of people really like
Spider Man,
Spider-Man, but I'm not.
not too into it.
I like the original game. I didn't like the remaster.
Yeah,
I thought the remaster where they tried to make the character look more like Tom Holland. I'm like, this doesn't make sense because you're supposed to have a Spider-Man who is older and more sure of himself. It doesn't make sense to have him look like a little kid.
yeah,
And they're like, no, we did this because we couldn't get the voice, the visual. We had to re-record his scenes. I'm like, that's bullshit.
yeah,
you clearly wanted to look like Tom Holland,
yeah. Yeah, that was weird.
and why are you lying to me? Like that's the thing that's always bothered me when companies lie to me. Like, just be honest, because you can tell anyone if you have good if you have good bedside manner. You could say anything.
Yeah.
to leave connection.
But in any case, I don't have any free topics. So I guess unless you have another one that you want to talk about, or unless you just want to save it for tomorrow.
And I got nothing else.
All
I
right.
already said what I want to see, which is Sony whining and complaining about well, we can't, man, we can't. I'm like, y'all just stop being bitches.
Exactly, exactly.
All the
That's
time,
it.
just always bitching. Just Sony should be called hey, all we do is bitch. Cause that's all they fucking do is just bitch. Like constant bitching.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, but in any case,
Always fucking complaining. It's annoying. It's like, oh, we can't this happened, we can't do this. I'm like, man, shut the fuck up.
yeah,
Always
yeah,
whining.
yeah. That's what Sony does. But in any case, I will want to give your sign off and pimp out what you've been doing on your channel.
Sure, this is Mr. Red Fox, owner proprietor BS Busters. I will be out of town next week, next weekends, Thursday to Monday. I'm going to be in New York attending a live concert from a Twitch streamer that I've been watching for a very long time. So that's going to be fun for me. Um, so I will not be in. So, yeah.
Yeah. So this is Kanshi Abominita here with another episode of Project Console. Um, Glad to have you, Mr. Red Fox, in the cast. Glad anybody who will end up listening to this. Um, have a good week. Have a good weekend. And Sony, quit your bitching. All right. Talk to you guys later.
They're never going to quit their bitching.